and we're recording. Okay, let's start over. Warren Select Board meeting December 3rd, 2024. Any public comment? No? Agenda changes? Andy, you're gonna do an MRV PD update, and should we go to the letter to CDH?
Well, to UVMMC, I guess it is, technically. I don't have it in my folder.
I just printed off one for
Okay.
you guys all to sign.
I read it.
Yep.
online.
Likewise.
Nope, wrong one.
It's in the orange folder. Sorry.
Hey, guys.
Hello, hello.
Hey, Dan.
I feel like we're in trouble.
Here we go.
What?
I feel like we're in trouble.
Hands up.
All right, so last planning district meeting was last Thursday night, or maybe 2 Thursday nights ago. 2 Thursday nights ago. Last Thursday night was Turkey. And as you all know, we heard the announcement that UVM was going to pull back out of the valley and close the Valley Health Center and make everybody go to at least to Waterbury, if not further. And so we're all justifiably up in arms about that. And the planning district thought that they were the best lead to spearhead this and have all 3 towns sign on to this letter, which is brief, so I guess I'll read it. Select boards of the town of Facein, Waitsfield, and Warren, and the planning district are ready to express our deepest concerns regarding the recent decision to close Central Vermont Medical Center Family Medicine Branch, located at the Mad River Valley Health Center in Waitsfield. The clinic provides essential services to the Mad River Valley communities and is a critical resource for Valley residents. This sudden and unexpected announcement to close the facility has resulted in a great deal of public anxiety and uncertainty and raises important questions about our community's future access to health care. With no public transportation options available to take Valley residents to Waterbury, closing the MRV Health Center will be especially hard on our most vulnerable residents and potentially undermine public health and safety in the Valley towns. We respectfully request further details about the factors that informed this decision and would appreciate the opportunity to participate in any discussions regarding the status of this facility. And then if we agree, I said we would expedite this letter going out by agreeing to sign it, and all the towns, I hope, will do the same. Yeah, it's not a great situation.
No.
And this doesn't necessarily change anything on them. It just lets them know where we stand and lets everyone in the valley know that we are at least engaged if there is anything for us to input.
Did you guys talk at all about if they did invite, you to the table, who would that be?
Nope, we did not. I think we need to, when we get there,
Yeah.
we would either each send a representative or we would choose the planning district to be the representative.
Yeah.
This was actually penned by Sam Robinson, who is the junior member there, and I thought he did a very nice job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, very well written. Yeah,
Yeah, I
would-
fully support it.
Absolutely.
definitely.
So
Favor.
a motion to sign the planning district letter to UVMMC.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Excellent. Thank you. Come back to that.
Andy, do you want me, once that's signed, do you want me to send that back to you, or should I send it to Sam?
Sam.
Okay.
Gentlemen, we're ready for you.
You all right?
Good to see you.
Hi there. Good evening. So, where would you like us to begin? That's kind of the question. There's a lot that can be discussed, so.
Maybe a quick recap of, we're specifically talking about budgeting and planning for next year, but if you can give us a recap on the year prior, that'd be great.
I think what would be best, because I think there's definitely some newer people to the valley that are here on the board. I think probably Andrew's probably done the longest that I know. I started in '89 in Waterbury, 1989 I should say, in Waterbury. At that point in time, I had basically a full in-depth patrol program plus also a security program up in Sugarbush. the sheriff's department did. As I came in, started in '92, at that point in time, basically what Waitsfield and Warren has is an agreement, and hopefully it's still in place, has an agreement that for 8 hours, twice a week, 16 hours, years ago was, 16 hours, twice a week, 2 8-hour shifts, or however you divided it up. And then the same thing for Warren for evening shift. Waitsfield was day, Warren was evening. So basically it was a cross patrol between the towns, which has worked out very, very well. We're thinking it was 10 to 12 years ago,
2012-ish.
Warren then decided to add on an additional 2 4-hour shifts during the day for just Warren. When there was a change of leadership here, and we knew we had to raise rates, but anyways, when we raised the rates back in 2021, where are we, 23? 23. The town of Waitsfield ended up going and changing from those 2 8-hour shifts down to 2 5-hour shifts, so it's only 10 hours a week.
Mhm.
With that said, what I ended up doing, and this is more ethical for me, is I wasn't gonna have you guys doing 8 hours twice a week, covering the 2 towns, and I'm only doing 10 hours a week. So what we did is we ended up making that changeover. So there's still, right now, the 2 5-hour shifts in Waitsfield during the day, 2 5-hour shifts in the evenings that Warren pays for, 2 5-hour shifts, in Waitsfield pays for, then that additional 2 4-hour shifts in Warren. That's kind of where we're at.
Mhm.
Up to you what routes you want to go for the future. Obviously, I've given some figures to the town administrator in regards to where figures are going in the coming year. I'll let Mark talk about that part of things, because he's the dollar man.
So he runs the program, I do all the administration, so. there is-
Gentlemen, may I request that you introduce yourselves, please?
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay, I'm Brett Meyer, I'm the captain with the sheriff's department, second in command. As you heard, I've been here forever.
Yes.
Basically, full-time since '96. Want to just hand this out as well?
Thank you,
That's
Brett.
basically the figures, so to give you some idea where we're at dollar-wise, because there was some different questions. I know the town administrator sent me an email and made a comment of wanting to know why such a rate increase. Back when this happened,
Hold that thought real quick,
Yes.
haven't done my intro.
okay, sorry.
I'm Mark Poulin, I'm the sheriff. I was Brett's partner at the sheriff's office from 2007 until 2021, where I left to be an investigator with the Capitol Police for a couple of years, and then came back to the sheriff. I have been an officer. I started in Montpelier PD in 2005. So with that being said, now
Nice to meet you, Mark. I'm Devin,
Yes.
Kaylee, and I think you know Camilla, Luke, and Andy.
We've met in passing, that's
Right.
for sure. I'm terrible with names, I'll apologize for that
Ask.
right up front, so.
Don't be bashful.
So anyways, if you look at the sheet with the different breakdown, back in 2023, when the change happened, somebody come up with a figure of 43,860. I have no idea who that was. Whether that was the select board or the town administrator, I would infer that was the town administrator that came up with that dollar figure. So that was kind of where we're at. With that said, generally what we've done, knowing that that's what the dollar figure is, what I've done is instead of going and doing, saying 2 5-hour shifts at night, you're only getting 1 5-hour shift certain weeks, etc., and vice versa for the daytime. So I end up going and making do, and you can see there with the 43,860 at the present, it's basically 35 weeks of enforcement instead of 52 weeks. With the increase, which I'll have him get into, it basically then drops it down to like 32 weeks. Prior to that, we were about 32,000, and it still was around 32 weeks. With people's vacation, et cetera, and like I said, a lot of times in the summertime, they may only work 1 shift on a weekend or 1 shift during the week, whichever the case may be. However, I decide to schedule it, because generally what I try to do is we call it omnipresent, you never know when we're gonna be here. That way people don't know when we're here.
Shake it
every-
up.
Yep, we're not gonna be here every Friday night, we're gonna be here every Saturday night. Years ago, it was strictly 2 8-hour shifts Friday and Saturday night, the Dave Director days.
Yep.
That's the way to
Yep.
work it. Yeah. So, anyways, those figures there, I did some figures to kind of give you what the dollar rate was per week and kind of where the increase goes if we were to go with what the new rates are, and I'll let Mark go through that and discuss that, and by all means, we're here to answer whatever questions we can.
Okay, thank you.
So for a little history, especially for the new members, it's very poorly understood how sheriff's offices operate in the state of Vermont. So we actually are kind of a weird combination of public funded and a small business. So the county provides the building, the utilities, some of the insurances, and 2 office staff members. Everything else is operating as a small business. I, as the sheriff, am paid by the state. The captain and one of our sergeants, Andy Bent, who you probably all remember, he used to be the patrolman here. He's now in one of the state positions. Their official job is to transport prisoners, hence why they're employed by the state, assigned to the sheriff's office. So outside of that, every single one of my staff members work for the county sheriff's department, not the state. But we are cops for hire, that's how it works, hence why we do the contracts with the towns, with the construction companies, with the courts, so on and so on and so on, to make the money, to buy the equipment, to do our mandated job. So we're mandated by statute to serve civil process and transport prisoners. Outside of the 2 deputies that are assigned to that job, and that changes depending on the county. We have 2, Chittenden has 7, Orange used to have 1, so that's a whole thing. But outside of that, we have to do all this stuff to pay the bills, to buy the cruisers, to, everything comes out of, we're a small business. With that being said, when I took office, the hourly rate for patrol was $31.25. So I have a breakdown here of how everything breaks out. The long story short, when our guys left on patrol, we lost money the second the wheels started rolling. We were billing less than it cost us per hour to head out the door. Not really sustainable. With that being said, the business model for sheriffs years ago, society has changed a lot in the last 15 or 20 years. So we used to get a lot of retired officers who'd want to keep their feet in the water, or a lot of guys that were full-time officers but worked many part-time jobs. They worked for us for 2 days a week, they worked for Berry City for 3 days a week, and they made it work. So those people, the retirees and the part-time kind of guys, just did it at what was called a per diem rate. There was no benefits, there was no retirement, there was no overtime. It's just when they worked, when they didn't, they didn't. So that ship has sailed. The retired guys, the minute you retire, you're gone. The guys that have multiple part-time jobs, nobody does that anymore because you need a full-time job to get your benefits that are required by statute, so on and so on and so on. So being able to use these, lack of a better term, part-time employees to cover things, it's gone and it's not coming back. So all of our employees now, we're essentially doing everything with our full-time staff, which is currently 8 members. So they all get retirement, they all get benefits, vacation time, sick time, all of that. And if you guys have been involved in your own town staff, you know exactly what those costs are doing. They're going through the roof. Our healthcare costs alone are insane. Never mind the cruiser costs. This year alone, we bought 2 cruisers this year. Each of them went up $8,000. So between the 2 cruisers that we're still putting together with the police equipment, it's around $114,000 for 2 cruisers. Good Lord. With that being said, some of the reason we changed our rates is to obviously keep up. Because when we started at $31.25, our average pay rate for our full-time employees was around $20 an hour. We had a deputy who'd been working for us longer than I've been an officer, 24 years, 25 years.
Yeah, somewhere around
And he was making $21 and change. You can go to McDonald's and make more than that at this point. So he's now at 28 and change. We're making a lot of changes to retain people. We're still losing employees, but you gotta pay them or they're going elsewhere.
Yeah.
Montpelier PD has an ad up right now, starting day 1, 0 experience, 36 and change. We can't compete with that.
Yeah.
3663.
Yeah.
So our costs are going up, 1, to retain the employees we have, 2, to cover the cost of doing business, and 3, to keep our equipment in decent shape. As if we have junk equipment, we can't do our job. So the reason the mileage change is we have tagged our mileage rate to the federal rate plus 10 cents. Because the reason for that is that the federal rate covers the vehicle. The police equipment, all the companies are buying each other out because they're all struggling. And the cost is just skyrocketing because they're coming to a monopoly, because they can. So this year to outfit the cruisers, it almost doubled in cost just to buy the equipment to put in, never mind the cruiser. So that's what that additional 10 cents is for, is the police-specific equipment. Because we can buy the car, but if you can't put the stuff in it, then we're dead in the water. So we've gotten body cams, we've gotten tasers, we've changed a lot of our stuff. The body cams have been super handy in a lot of what we do that we never had them before. We used to run only cruiser cams. Those died. It was 2 years to get new ones. The cost went up versus we can get body cams, which the state wants us to do anyways, but that cost has gone up significantly. So it's a lot of moving parts. So before we were losing money every time the officers left the room. And now we're not making a ton of money on it. We're getting to the point of, at these rates, we are covering our costs, and that's about it. The previous sheriff believed in raising the rates like every 5 or 6 years. He would raise the rates and it'd stay flat. We just can't do that anymore in this environment. So every year it's going to be going up. Last year was a lot. This year it's a lot less. We didn't want to make it like big steps all at once. So we had to do that big jump last year. This year it's a lot smaller. Next year it'll probably be even smaller, but we'll have to see where the economy goes. We just don't know. So with that being said, do you have questions about the rates and what I just explained, or anything involved in that?
No, I don't. I think we appreciate all the work that you've done to make it sustainable and to make it accurate and give us the information that we need. We have just, and I think we've gone through this before, but we have typically made our hours work based on the number that the budget that we funded the year prior. So I think that's how we got to the 43,860. That doesn't mean that we can't increase it. I think we increased it last year. But as for year over year, we've tended to look at the previous number and said, okay, if that was 32 weeks, let's try 30 weeks this year. But I think we should discuss that for next year.
One thing I think Brett kind of hinted at, but didn't come quite out specifically, when we have that arrangement with Waitsfield and Warren, so when we have those back-to-back, so if Waitsfield is the early shift, we cover the mileage to get here on Waitsfield, and then you're the second shift, we cover the mileage back on Warren. So
Yeah,
you're
that
kind of
benefits us.
subsidizing each other doing it that way.
And I personally, I think that's great, being
Yeah.
able to use the other
Yeah.
towns and work together. That obviously makes sense.
Yeah.
But how did that agreement come about? Because we don't ever sit down with the Waitsfield Select Board.
Is that true, you
came
guys?
about through them,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and at the time, we just had equal amounts of hours.
Mhm.
I think we started with 24 hours a week, way back.
Mhm.
And so, as they've cut back, Brett's saying that he just matched us to them,
Yeah,
which is why if you look at the budget, they aren't always spending the full amount, at least it had in the past happened. And also because they were shorthanded and couldn't even field that team.
right.
So, I think what you're saying now is that you can do more hours, you have a rate that, this is the rate, and what do we want is the question.
We don't need an answer anytime soon, that is for
Right.
you guys, no pressure here whatsoever.
And we do want to let you know, from about February 3rd till just after Memorial Day, Davis will be at the full-time academy,
Right.
cross your fingers and everything. He'll be at the full-time academy, so it's kind of gonna be what we can do to fill in.
It's gonna be
It's
him,
gonna be
it's
him
gonna
and I.
be me, and a couple of other
Mhm.
staff, and
Yeah.
you're gonna see a lot of different faces, because
Yeah.
we're gonna make it work.
Yeah.
At least until he gets back.
The benefit
That's
is he'll be
great.
coming back to level 3 and have the next level up as far as being a full-time patrolman at that point in time, so.
Yeah, that's great.
That's
Yeah.
It's only a plus for all of us.
Yeah.
Right. Do we want to discuss tonight our inclination towards hours and funding?
Do you have a commitment from Waitsfield for hours for next year?
We do not.
I think we can make ours
I wanna be
independent.
open with you, I don't even know if they have a town administrator, I talked to
Yeah.
them one time and haven't talked to them again.
Yeah.
Right, right.
So, I
I've
don't,
heard nothing.
I've
Okay.
heard boo,
Yeah.
just so you're aware, I don't,
Yeah, I think
Jeff, I
they're-
don't know what you've heard.
About the same, I know one person that's applied for it, and that's all I know.
Yeah, they're stretched thin. We were there a year and plus ago, year and a half ago, and
It's a hard place to
it
be.
stretches a select board
Yeah.
to the extremes.
I can tell you that last year they contracted at 31,824 for the year, so that's part of the thing, and with them, that cut back a fair amount more hours,
Yeah,
because we're not able to cover, because they did it based off of hours and not based off of mileage. So it doesn't cover the mileage.
Right,
right.
all right. Well, I would say, I doubt we're gonna go down. It's a question of, we probably ought to crunch some numbers and see what feels all right to us, and see if we think there's going to be more need than there has been. That's what we've done in the past anyway, is we felt some years, things were, either crime was ticking up, or, we just felt more need and we'd add some hours.
So are we having that discussion now?
Can we
No,
have
we
a
don't
little-
have time right
Can we
Don't
now.
have a
time?
little bit
Okay.
of that discussion with them here to get sort of their perspective on what they're seeing
Sure,
for the hours that they are
Yeah,
here?
so one thing I do wanna hit on, just since July 1st, the traffic stops have gone through the roof.
That's all I'm doing.
What we call LSL3, which is 21 to 30 miles in excess of the speed limit, and then 31 to 40 miles in excess of the speed limit. Those numbers are starting to climb drastically.
specifically in
over
Warren,
30?
or,
East Warren Road.
we've heard about this, haven't we?
A lot.
Because we have nice pavement.
It's so nice.
No, it's,
It's not,
so
it's not the
nice.
Happened
pavement.
even
no,
before
it's,
that.
isn't it, I thought it was,
Cause if you're going that fast, you
It
don't
is-
feel
hold
the
on, let
pavement.
them
Yeah,
talk.
Unfortunately, this is everywhere. It's not just Warren. We'll definitely say that. It's happening down on Main Street in Waitsfield.
Yeah,
as well.
yeah,
What,
yeah.
the best we can come up with, there's no, something, this is why this is happening. It kind of started in 2020 during COVID and has continued because we weren't allowed to do car stops. Officers were dealing with other things. You're not stopping cars. Everyone knows there's manpower problems. Oh, there's no troops out, there's no sheriff's deputies out. It's just, let's go have fun and nobody cares. Well, that is not necessarily the case. The number of officers is down, but the impression in society is, well, it's a free-for-all, there's no cops, so you just don't have any. So, that combined with, I don't know, that seems to be the only thing that we can say, this is probably a lot of it, but your guess is as good as mine.
It's just
It's bad.
And so, do you notice a change in that when you've been around for a couple of weeks? Cause if you're only putting, we're only funding currently 35 weeks, that means there are plenty of weeks where you aren't here, but like say you're here for a week or two, do you notice a
We-
decline in the third week
We
or?
are generally here every week, it's
Yeah.
just how many hours we
Fewer
put
hours.
out.
Oh, okay.
So, but that I make sure is taken care of. You get some hours no matter what, so we are here, it's just, it doesn't make a difference day or night.
Yeah,
We were out here this weekend and you guys didn't, other than the evening stuff, you didn't pay for it. That was done by Highway Safety, which we didn't touch on. You get a fair amount of highway safety funds that we put out to here. So when things are going on, for example, Martin Luther King weekend, big ski weekend, we have DUI shifts as well as what we call occupant protection, distracted driving, where we come out and work the area to deal with,
So-
get people slowed down as well.
Highway safety funds then would be kind of
Grant funds.
just, money that you get to decide how to
That's correct.
apply it,
Correct.
okay.
And what we
Doesn't
do
come
is,
from us.
I'd say this is a high traffic area, high crash rate, so it gives me a location, I'd say it gives me a location to work, so.
That's a lot of the emphasis is the high crash location, because that involves speed, distracted driving, every so often the focus of these programs change. But right now, it's the high crash and the distracted driving efforts, so.
If you had to guess, how many hours do you think go towards that?
Highway safety a year? Well, generally it's 4 to 5 guys, a shift,
6-ish hours.
generally a shift is 6 hours, and we gotta come out here at least 8 times, if not more, throughout the year. Gotta be that, if not more,
Okay.
doing highway safety.
Wow.
240
And-
hours.
And actually, what we're looking to do this year, and I gotta work on how I do it, the problem is, I'm gonna lose Davis, is generally what we used to do years ago as well is What we
And
used to
everybody
do as well is, I would put a person on regular patrol in Valley, his 8-hour shift, and then what I would do secondly is I'd put a person on DUI. So we'd have two people
Oh, I
out
see,
here,
right.
and basically work together and dealing with issues, and that it worked very well.
And it seemed to be the case, they see one deputy, they think, oh, that's the only one in the valley. Surprise, there's a second one.
Yeah.
And most people don't expect
Right,
it.
yeah, that's true.
Like I said, Saturday out here, there was at 1.5 of us, so,
Wow.
and fairly busy, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We wish we could guarantee you some hours that way, but the grant ebbs and flows and depending on where they want us based on the data, blah, blah, blah. But we do
Yeah.
a lot of stuff out here just by nature of the heavy traffic, especially during ski season.
That's good to know. Any other questions?
I want to mention one thing that's going on. It's an additional service we're going to begin providing. I'm an EMT. I'm very passionate about EMS work. All of our full-time staff are going to what's called the VFR class. It's the Vermont Emergency First Responder. It's a basic level of the first level of certification in EMS that the state offers. It's only about a 12-ish hour class, but the whole full-time staff is going through that. We've coordinated with the local EMS agency to start providing that. It kind of raising up, we're not full EMS, we're just there to get on the scene if we're there faster than Mad River and help people. We're getting 3 AEDs donated by Mad River Ambulance. We're getting those this Thursday and we'll do a presentation. So Mad River Ambulance is in a rough spot. They have staffing problems like the rest of us. So we're adding that on as, okay, if we're in the neighborhood and a call comes in, we're gonna go and see what we can do until they get there.
That's great,
So that's a new program
Thank
that's
you.
starting up.
yeah.
It's never been done before. There's one other state agency down south in Rutland or Wyndham County, I forget, that's actually a fast squad. We're not going that extreme yet, but we're gonna be the second in the state. So.
Wow.
Great,
Thank
thank you.
you.
That's
Thank you.
awesome,
Wonderful.
thank you for doing that. I guess my only other question would be, what would your recommendation be for hours? Understanding that you probably
40 a week.
want the
Yeah.
full thing, right, but like, from what you're
What do
seeing,
we want them to do?
from a traffic perspective, crime perspective.
Let me word it this way, my biggest concern is I would like to, I can't tell you guys what to do by any means, I want you guys to make some judgment on this, is we need to get Waitsfield involved somehow, and see what we can do about raising the hours as a joint, and figure out that, and then figure out where we go dollar wise. I think that probably is the better way to go, in a sense, just because the joint patrol works much better.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, they are so interconnected.
Right.
Yeah.
The closer we
Yeah.
can get to being, it doesn't necessarily have to be 50-50, but in a perfect world, that's exactly it.
Right.
Because when we're here in Warren and a call comes in Waitsfield, an emergent call, we're going. And then if we're there, we're coming here. So
Yeah.
one hand kind of washes the other, but having that parity or close to it makes it easier.
yeah, we've-
Even if it's traffic stops, they're coming over the town line, like,
And, you
so,
know, and we've always talked about it, is we've always had what we call the Valley Patrol, and Facein is never contracted.
I was just
And
gonna
they've
ask
gotten
about
free service for emergency response,
that. Right,
ever since I've ever been around, so it's not good on that avenue of it. I do know that they had discussed with Waitsfield at one point in time to connect on with Waitsfield. Don't know where that's at, again, don't know where the town government's at this point in time, we've got limited communications right at the present time.
so that, okay, that
That
kinda
makes-
means that you, German Flats Road, Route 17,
We
Yes.
come down German Flats or, up
you just
17, we
kinda
do
happen to be
that.
driving through
Yeah.
there, okay,
You know, if there's a crash,
yeah.
We're going.
Right.
we're going
Yeah, yeah.
anyways right now.
Yeah.
For the
Yeah.
most part, and that's a lot of what we do in Facein anyways.
Okay.
Or if there, if there's a call, an alarm or something,
Right,
we're here, it's a first response, we go. If it's something more severe, we're gonna go until the state police show up
yeah.
and hand off to them. So,
how does payment work for you guys in first response scenarios?
I'm losing,
So
Yeah, what-
Yeah, what happens if there's a crash in Facein, you're going, but
Yeah.
who's paying for that time?
So if we were on Warren's time,
Yeah,
we're going, and that's actually kinda on your dime. We'll be there
Yeah.
for not very long,
right,
and until VSP gets there, because it is not our place. We go there and
I
make
see.
sure the scene's secure, figure out what's going on, can we cancel them, because it's just a little fender bender.
Right,
So it's somewhat circumstantial.
okay, and that's why you're saying they're getting
And
sort of
vice
free
versa.
service.
Correct.
Right, and so if
we're
we
in
all
Waitsfield,
coordinate,
Same thing.
it's much better, because then we're all paying and we're all receiving service. Okay,
Unfortunately, and I am not bashing the state police because we're all in the same boat, is the minute they hear us coming out in the valley, a lot of times we're passing them headed out, because they can be somewhere
Right.
else if we're here. Because they're running, on average, pretty much 2 guys out of the barracks a shift, because they're so short-staffed.
wow,
We actually assisted them in Waterbury to call the other night because they had 2 guys on shift. And they had guys coming out of Williston to help them. We're in Montpelier,
right,
like, oh, we're going.
yeah,
So, a lot of moving parts.
yeah. So it sounds like we have some homework, maybe.
We do, and Rebecca, maybe you and I can talk, we can reach out, we can't make any promises, but we can certainly reach out to Waitsfield and,
Yeah.
um,
Basin? Basin.
that's a different,
Yeah.
we could, that's a different, totally different conversation, Waitsfield is already,
Yep.
In a
Once.
perfect world, Moortown, Waitsfield, Warren, and Facein, you're kind of all here.
Yeah.
In a perfect world, having an arrangement with all 4 towns would be ideal. But Moortown already has a contract with us. And
We've discussed it, they've talked it themselves, but it doesn't sound like it's made any further than that.
okay.
Good.
Yeah,
So
I'll follow
if
up
you
with
have, sorry, just to clarify the arrangement you have with Moortown. So you are contracted
We are
with them.
contracted, yep. Generally,
What would you need as far as coordination is concerned for that to be more
That's-
fluid?
Unfortunately, that has to be you people deciding on what you wanna do as a collaborative enforcement effort.
with
Um,
them.
Yeah, with them, as far as with Waitsfield and with them and with Facein.
So like sharing hours the way
Yeah.
you were discussing.
Cause, you know, perfect example, even if it's just the 3 towns, figure out your hours, 6 or 8 hour shift is covering now 3 towns. Instead of you paying for
4
5,
hours.
them paying for 5, and then Moortown paying for 4,
Right,
it's all connected.
okay,
And
I
again, it's
understand.
the same thing, which is still, if something's going on in Moortown, crash in Moortown, and VSP is in Berlin, we're gonna go, whether we're on in Warren or we're on in Waitsfield, we're basically, you know, the first responder, I don't know what the fire term is that they use, where you assist other mutual aid.
Mutual aid.
Mutual aid, thank you. We generally do that, that's with all of the towns, so,
Thank you for that feedback.
by all means. And we're here to help, that's the issue, we're looking to do what we can do to help, and whatever way we can do it easier, it works out a little better as well.
yeah, absolutely, we'll do what we can,
Thank you.
thank you both,
Appreciate it, thanks a
Reach-
lot.
Reach out with questions, we are here to help for sure.
Yeah.
we will,
There might be a lot of spinning stuff in the head, and just ask, please.
okay,
Great.
Thanks, guys.
thank you.
You're very welcome.
We'll be in touch.
By all means. Sorry, I emailed it instead of just sneaking out here to talk, it didn't work.
Yeah, good.
Have a good evening.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Misha, you're up. And Bob and Margot.
Good evening, everybody.
Hi, Misha.
Take 2.
Hello.
Hi, Margo.
Margo.
Is
Bob?
Bob there?
Bob's on too.
Here.
Bob,
Hey,
where's
Bob.
your beautiful face?
I turned my video
That was
on,
brief.
so I'm here.
Okay.
Same old grumpy guy.
Whoa.
Nice to have you in the room.
Thank goodness.
Last time we met, I was embarrassed. I wasn't able to answer your guys' questions. I didn't expect that I had to. I just thought that this was a done deal. It was like a procedural thing. But I should have known more things because I was asking you things that also, and you didn't know. So I
Now
had
we're
to-
embarrassed.
Yeah,
so
so
there
it
you
was
go.
good. So I went back. I met with Margot. I met with Bob. I met with Josh, and together everybody dug back to the beginning of time. So if we look at the chronology of the scoping study in 2017, and then a series of applications unsuccessful applications and the commitments that different parties made. So the Sugar Bush made the $200,000 commitment, and then you all signed a letter. And I don't know what you have. I made extra copies just in case you
We have
want
it.
to see. You have that letter from Sugar Bush addressed
Yep.
to you, Luke. Okay, so they made a commitment to match. You made a commitment to the path maintenance. So that was our first question that you asked: who is supposed to maintain it? And that so that all happened in 2022. Then the second thing is that you all wrote a letter to. And that was written on June 6, 22. Do you have that letter?
Yes.
Okay. So you all wrote a letter, and that letter had $358,000 representing 20% local match, which at that point, at that time, was local match needed to go from Inferno Road to Alpine Options. So that's another fact that we didn't know, because I was coming to you and asking you where we're gonna get the match.
That's what I had said, that I thought we were putting up funds. Okay, cool. I hadn't seen this piece.
So
Thank
these
you.
are the two things that I learned.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I learned that really what made me come back is that so many people, so many Sugar Bush workers are living at the corner of Access Road and German Flats Road. And so our impetus for the path to write for the Phase 1 grant, the equity and kind of a justice component was to provide opportunity for these people to walk to work and back home. And with the other developments, maybe Margot will tell us more, on hold, majority of people are living right there, and so it makes that much more sense to continue to German Flats. So with these things, I thought I'd come back to you, and I'm wondering, Bob and Margot, if you have anything to add to this summary.
No, I think you've got it pretty well covered. I think at the time of the 2022 grant application, the project was in the $1.5 million range. And at that time, Sugar Bush committed to covering 50% of the local match, which was roughly around $400,000. And that we actually gave the town the $200,000 that we committed to back in 2022. And then it was actually just Misha trying to pull up my email to you from the other day. In addition to people that are staying at the Sugar Bush Inn, there are a fair number of other residential developments along that segment of the road. We've got Club Sugar Bush, the Sugar Bush One Condominium Association. I think those were the main ones. There's Norm Robinson Road, that is a 4-lot subdivision. I believe only one house so far has been built. So those sort of 3 residential developments are right on this next segment of path. But then within a quarter mile of this segment of path, we've got Drumleys, we've got South Face, we have Sterling Ridge, we have the homes on Hamilton House Drive, we have Sugar Bush Woods Road, which can't remember off the top of my head how many homes are up there. And then we have, not counting the Sugar Bush Inn as a business, there are 3 businesses along this segment of path, which would be Alpine Options, on the segment of path or within a quarter mile of the path, Alpine Options, Sugar Bush Property Group, and the Lodge at Lincoln Peak. So it's serving a fair number of people, and the people that are living in those residential complexes that I just talked about, it's a mix of seasonal and year-round. I don't know what that mix is. and I'm not sure exactly how we would figure that out other than by looking at the grant list to see where their mailing address is. But there are definitely year-round residents that that segment of path would serve. Those were what I wanted to add.
So,
Well, I don't know much to add other than what Misha said, and clearly, I remember very clearly what we as a board did, and I don't remember us ever undoing it.
so my question, forgive my ignorance here, but we had that conversation about applying for the grant, and we needed to agree to commit the funds in order to apply for the grant, correct?
That is correct.
And then we didn't get the grant, is that right?
No, we've gotten the grant.
What, we did get it that year? I thought.
Not
we
in
got-
2022.
We got
Not in
denied
2022.
which is when we committed to this, right? And then we, I just don't remember, did we have another conversation when we reapplied to say,
We didn't reapply.
Yeah, we did.
No, we did, wait, we did reapply.
We did?
So in 2022, we applied for the path that would go from the four-way intersection at the top of the access road all the way to Irish Pond Road.
right,
We got denied, and the state said, it's too big. Come back to us with a shorter segment. So then in 2023, we applied for the segment that is currently funded, which is from the four-way intersection at the top of the access road to Golf Course Road. That got funded.
so we didn't have to rewrite these letters of commitment?
Well, we didn't have to rewrite the letter of intent between Sugarbush and the town because Sugarbush had already given the town $200,000. I'd have to go back and look at that application material. I'm sure there's a letter in there that says the town of Warren is committed to the project and commits to the local match, along with other required documents. But
Yeah, there is. I signed it.
Yeah, I have it, not in print, but on my computer.
I guess my reason for bringing it up is that as a board, we clearly need to do a better job of keeping track of commitments we've made. If we, if we said we were gonna spend this money, we should have had it somewhere that we knew was kind of earmarked. So I just wanna make sure we have a process going forward, and then that piece that I recalled was that we agreed to, to sign on to it, then we didn't get the grant, and then I'm just not remembering when we committed again and said, okay, because just every year, the finances change, and going into this particular fiscal year, I'm feeling very concerned about our financial commitments. So I just wanna make sure every year we're considering what we have out there for liability.
The last thing I
Well,
would
you have to remember that you're not going to make the financial commitment in 2025. Okay, it's going to be a 2026 commitment. So if you fund, I don't remember the funding, but I remember having this discussion, trying to walk people through it, that if we put money into the reserve, and by the time we get to the point that we have to pay actually once we get to, because we have to pay for everything, I forget what they call the grant when you have to pay out the money before you get the money back, or you go as you pay.
Right.
They pay you as you go. That wouldn't come due until 2026.
if not farther out.
It could be further out than that.
Because look at the current segment that we're working on, which was funded in 2023. We didn't really start until 2024, and the thing's not going to be built until 2027. So assuming that this second segment follows a similar timeline, the payout is going to be over 3 years.
Okay, that raises a question for me. Walk me back for a second here, Misha. What we're talking about is applying for a grant to fund the rest of the creation of the originally designed path to either German Flats or Irish Pond. And I think we decided German Flats was reasonable.
German Flats, and
So, sorry, just let me finish before you start. So we as a town with Sugarbush committed $358,888 to this project when in concept it was going to Irish Pond. So that $200,000 that Sugarbush has committed has met the local match required for the first segment.
Correct, with a little bit of money left.
Okay.
Based on grant application. How it's going to play out is hard to say because it's very clear that the actual cost is going to be higher.
Yeah.
But currently V-Trans they're doing this cost overruns grants
Yeah.
without local match.
Right. I
So
remember you
it's
saying that.
possible that some money, a little bit of money, are left there on just a little over $10,000.
So then, by that logic, the extra $158,888 that we committed to in 2022 should be used for the next phase of the path
Correct.
as the local match.
And you requested last time, I think it was you found the mistake that they made on the budget, that VHB made in the budget. I went back to
Only like
VHB.
tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands.
I asked them to redo the budget, to just go to German flags, and to correct the mistake for 2,000 flagging hours, and to also make this budget for an aggregate path, not for a paved path, but for an aggregate path. Because I believe that it's a lot more affordable and a lot more feasible to maintain an aggregate path in a rural area, but that's up for that's your decision in the end. And so this comes to, the local match here comes to just a little bit over 160, about 166,000. And so if you were to stay with your original match, then I believe that we would, I guess I would take on fundraising for the rest of this, with help of Margot giving me local landowners and Bob and landowners that came to the meeting that we had here in the library who were very interested in phase 2, and instead of them complaining, I would just say, hey, help me out, let's go and find the rest of this money, something practical to do. So that's all that I have to say. I know you all have a lot to do. This is like a second time around. I apologize that they didn't have all the facts, but now I think
No, we
we got all the
appreciate
facts.
Yeah.
coming back.
Sorry, we didn't remember.
Maybe the only other thing that I should say is that we do have opportunity now, because you know how you got denied for 2 years. We have grant approved, so it's much easier now to go for phase 2, because we are working on phase 1. So it's like, in terms of logic of continuity, we would be more likely to get the grant. And because they're looking for that equity component, because we have people living at that intersection, we have all the pieces that we need to write a good grant application. And we are going to save over a year worth of time from if you ever started over again, because that's what it took, right? It took us get to the point where VHB are working for us on the ground. They will simply continue. It's not how it's supposed to work, but it's how it will work.
Mhm.
Okay.
And the grant application deadline has been extended to the 31st.
From the 5th to the 31st, so we do have, if you decide to go for it, the planning district will give me support to complete it.
Excellent. Any questions for Misha?
No, I have a comment. Rebecca and I had a conversation today regarding the maintenance of the path. And we've discussed, that with our road crew, and Bob, feel free to jump in here too. I think we are very aware of the commitment that we've made and the reality that we don't have the equipment or the personnel to fulfill that need as it stands. And so we're looking at having to figure out how to supply that maintenance
In 2 years, though.
in 2 years.
So-
And
Do you mean maintenance, you mean,
on the path, once it's constructed.
you mean snow removal?
We don't need,
It's 99% of it, right?
Mostly snow removal, whatever maintenance is required.
But we can choose to not do snow removal. We can choose to just,
We could choose to groom it. That absolutely, and that's a conversation I want to have. The reason I'm bringing it up now is I think we need to start brainstorming about how that will be achieved. And one of the things that we had discussed the last time you were here was that it would be ideal if the path were able to hold that resource, right? Have the equipment and the personnel to do that if you had enough path that made it worthwhile. And I'm curious if you're aware of something else that might exist in that capacity. How is the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail maintained? Is that done by the towns? Is there someone we could contract with? Or is it going to need to be figured out within our highway department? Do you get what I'm saying? And just wanting to make sure that we're having that conversation alongside with whatever path we are or aren't building, because if we build the path and we can't maintain it, we're not doing anybody any good.
So I said this before, I'd like to imagine Medriver Path being an organization that would maintain multi-use path in the valley. I'd like to imagine that being a dedicated entity to this project,
Right.
it's easier for us to have one small piece of equipment for the winter and another small piece of equipment for the summer, and the town's contract with us.
Right.
I am hesitant to say that's what we are going to do, because remember, I'm still learning
Yeah.
how all of this works, and I'd just like to be honest. I think that's how it would be
It
a
could
good
work.
arrangement,
Yeah.
and I need to keep learning about it, and yeah, I did.
And that's what
go-
I'm saying, like, help us, because we're gonna get to this point where we need to maintain it. We don't have the personnel or the equipment to do it right now, and we wanna be able to solve that problem
Well,
when it
there
arises.
are, these things, a little bit that I know, so say this week is a deadline for recreational trails grant program, which is up to $50,000 program, and they fund equipment, they fund trail maintenance equipment, so I'm learning that it may be possible to get the right machine once we have the mileage of the path.
Right.
That could just move along back and forth doing the work.
Yeah.
I went and observed in Lamoille Valley Rail Trail in the summer how they maintained it. I looked at their machines, I talked to the people who are doing it, and they're moving back and forth 94 miles, just doing the work. So I'm learning, but I don't know
Okay.
all of it.
Okay, but you're doing that along with the developing of these paths, so that's hopeful.
I'm thinking about it, I'd like to be a partner in that,
Great.
but I don't know enough to say I will be.
Yeah, okay. Do we wanna have the conversation about the grant funds? The potential for, giving Misha the go-ahead, or, I feel like we have to have that conversation now, don't we?
not necessarily, if that's the 31st is the deadline. We had said that our next conversation was to discuss, maintenance plan. Are you hoping, Misha, for a commitment tonight for,
No, well, when would you think you will be able to figure it out, Luke? How soon? Just don't wanna have 1 week, wanna have at
Mhm.
least,
Yeah.
well, we're
It's
meeting
2
every
weeks.
week now, we
Okay.
could do it.
I don't understand, the maintenance has been committed by the town. You've signed a commitment with an MOU with, Sugarwish.
We understand that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have to, I think you need to sort out from a maintenance perspective completely,
Yes,
how you're gonna, what's the use of the path? I mean, do you expect people in the winter to be able to walk from the Sugarwish Inn to Sugarwish?
that's, I think, yeah, we have to start that
I mean,
low level,
that's-
what our intent
That's the
is.
elephant in the room that you gotta come to grips with.
Yep. Yep,
And,
Wait,
kicking that can down the road.
I guess the piece that I don't understand is, why do we need to solve how we're gonna maintain the path before we consider
If there's gonna be a path.
if there's gonna be a path, or like, no,
Well,
there's
there
gonna be
is
a path,
Because we're
there is gonna be a
committing-
path,
There
that's
is
the,
gonna be a
that's
path.
my point. There's going to be a path, so
Right.
why are we stuck on how we're gonna maintain that path when discussing if that path should go the originally intended distance or not? That's the piece I don't understand, why are they so tied?
Well, what you're asking for is a further commitment.
Well, it looks like what I'm asking for is for you guys to affirm the commitment that you
Yeah, that's the
already
piece
made,
that that's where I'm
2
having
years
trouble
ago,
too.
and apologize for confusing you by coming the first time
No,
and
it's
not
not.
knowing the facts. And again, how that first initial process is gonna work, right? If we look at this timeline, you have plenty of time to figure out how to maintain it, because the construction right now is scheduled for summer 27. This is so
So
slow.
we've already
So
committed
this
to it,
is
but we
going
have to
be-
recommit to it?
No, we have committed to the length of the path.
And a financial commitment.
Yep,
As
and
well as a
maintenance, yeah,
maintenance
that's all clear, that's not unclear to me. I think it's a little more nuanced in when that path gets built.
So basically,
So you're,
Misha's,
hold on, let me answer Camilla's question first. I think you're asking where, or a reminder of where we were last time. My understanding is that, your concerns were about building that path, racing to build that path, committing funds and going into,
Additional
yes,
funds.
in
We've
the
already
near term.
committed funds that will get it down to the access road. Correct? I
To
mean,
the
down
access-
to,
no,
down
no.
to the German.
Down to German
to
Flats.
No,
No,
We have not.
we're going to Paradise Golf Course Road.
Golf course road.
that's
No.
where this confusion is.
Yeah.
Sugarbush paid to get it to Golf Course Road. Yeah, the $200,000 covers getting it to Golf Course Road. We aren't actually committing to anything more than what we have already committed to. So, technically, the way I see it, Misha could walk out and apply for the grant, and we've already committed it
Apply
He's-
for the grant.
to
We've already
do the second segment of path.
And
Even
Camilla,
though-
the
But
first
there-
grant, we had to shorten it in order to get the money. And that's why it didn't go to where originally
Right,
thought. It only
right.
went to Golf Course Road.
So the 158.8 would get us to German Flats.
Correct.
So you're
Exactly.
asking for
Yeah.
further financial commitment,
No,
no?
No,
It's the same commitment that we already made.
we're gonna go, we agreed last time, German Flats is a good goal. We get to German Flats, we accomplish something. For the
Okay.
future, for the present, and for the future.
It allowed us to get it going.
And considering the costs, let's go to German Flats. Also considering the constantly rising costs, I think we have opportunity now. Let's do it now, because you revisit it sooner or later, and then at that time it's gonna be that much more expensive. So that's why I came back. I just think it's a good opportunity, because the cards are properly stacked in our favor. It would be unfortunate to miss it, I think, upon thinking about that. Okay.
And I just have one point as far as the deadline on the 31st. It would be beneficial to the grant writers to know the answer sooner than later. If we wait until next week's meeting, then that really only gives them 2 weeks, and then it's the holiday week.
Okay.
So that it just puts extra pressure on the people that are pulling the grant application together.
Well, then how do we feel about making that decision tonight?
I'm
Can
comfortable
we,
with it.
can we uncomfortably go through it one more time?
Sure.
Okay, so here's how I understand it. Sugarbush has committed to putting up $200,000, and their money is already here and is designed to go from Sugarbush parking lot to Golf Course Road. We have committed about $160,000 to get us from Golf Course Road to German Flats Road. And we've also committed to maintaining the whole thing. So we've already committed to what he wants to apply for a grant for, which is that section from Golf Course to German Flats. We've actually, 2+ years ago, committed to that.
Right.
So really, I think Devin was saying, what do we have to recommit to?
Right.
We've already committed to it.
The grant is gonna need updated letters from the town.
Understood. I'm
Okay,
only talking about it for what this
Okay.
board and how we're thinking.
conceptually,
Okay.
yep.
So, we can recommit right now, just kinda like, redo our vows. And,
I didn't get to write anything.
The newer vows.
Yeah, I apologize, I thought there was more.
so,
Yeah.
so basically what Misha's looking for is,
Another motion to,
go for it.
Yeah.
I
That's what
don't
I'm
think we
looking
have any ability to say no.
well,
Honestly, right? We've already committed to it.
Well, without reneging, yes.
Yeah.
You're right.
yeah,
Great.
so,
for. I move that we give Misha the go-ahead to apply for the grant for the phase 2 construction of the Sugar Bush what are we calling it? Sugar Bush
Access road.
Access Road Transportation
Multi-use
Multi-use path.
Yeah, shared use path. Yep.
Second phase.
Second phase.
Second phase.
And then probably, excuse me, sorry, second. Somebody
Okay,
needs to
somebody-
second it.
So, I wanna just, add on to that, with the knowledge that we'll have to redo, some letters of intent, and also, recommit to the pieces we've already committed to, which is the funding and the 20% match and the, maintenance
Maintenance.
piece.
for a second.
And probably authorize Luke to sign whatever grant documents need to get signed. Like the grant form and the letter of intent.
Margo, are you running for select board?
Yet.
Sorry,
What?
not yet, not yet.
Oh, Margo? Yeah.
Not yet,
No,
sorry.
it wasn't you, Bob. Bob, you're welcome back though, Bob, anytime.
Is there a second with those amendments, additions?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Woohoo, way to go, people.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
Just
you.
wanna,
Thanks, Bob, Margo. Thank you,
Just
Misha.
remind
Thank you all.
people, I just want to remind people that this particular item has been in discussion with the town of Warren and Sugar Bush since the 1980s.
Yeah.
If
Oh
we,
my God.
if we, the collective, we can get it across the finish line, we're gonna have a huge frickin' party.
Who's paying for
Just
that
think how
part?
much it would have cost in 1980 to build.
Sugar.
Right?
And now it's just costing, each year that we go through this BS of having to deal with the bureaucracy is just ludicrous.
But Bob, we got you back in the room, man. We just,
I'm not in the room, I'm only on the air.
Thanks, Misha.
Night, Misha.
thank you, Misha.
So,
Thank you, everybody.
thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Good to see you guys, have a good
You
one.
too.
Bye.
Bye,
You too.
Laura?
Okay,
You are on.
well, I'll talk fast now. I think you have a two-page write-up and a budget from us in your packets, great. So, it was a great year for recreation. Thank you, Warren, for being one of the 3 founding and supporting towns of the rec district. And I'll start with the budget, we're asking for level funding. We have 123,000 of income. Moortown currently is giving us 3,000. We are asking them to become a member town. They're going to vote on it at town meeting day, March 3rd. We're going to do a PR campaign and work with different residents. We've worked closely with the Recreation Committee in Moortown and the Select Board, but we're very hopeful that they'll add an additional 17,000. Their contribution would be 20. The reason we went for like a half membership was because, they have 5 different sides, their large geography, a lot of their rec happens in Waterbury and other places, and we felt like this was a way to have some equity because the rec district celebrated our 30th anniversary this year.
No
That's
way.
amazing.
Yes, and for 30 years, 3 towns have been supporting what the 4 towns are doing. A third of
Yeah.
the kids are from Moortown do youth sports, all the infrastructure that we support with our grant program. So we're hopeful about that. We're going to work hard and just get the people in Moortown to understand. So we did have a carryover of 6,000 because some of our grantees did not spend their money this year. So, we have a balanced budget. We are going to be able to give 54,000 to grants this year. It was around 49,000 last year. And we also have been giving a $5,000 contribution to Conservation and Recreation Visioning. That's part of the VORAC grant that you guys supported with 10,000 of ARPA funds. And we thank you so much for that, because we are in the process of looking at how CRV continues past the grant funded time, which actually got extended by 3 months to March 31st. We asked for an extension because our CRV steering committee is all volunteers. We were coming up on the holidays and we're having to do a lot of work, and wanted to be able to pace that better and just have better deliverables to the state and to our community. So we're going to have a fourth community forum January 8th, Wednesday, January 8th. You'll be hearing about that in the news and things. But and as you see, we have the Mad River Park budget on the side, right side. We, charge minimal rental fees to youth sports, and use that income to cover some of the expenses at the park. So, any questions on the budget?
So the income, the MRVRD income on the Mad River Park budget side, so it includes Moortown, that 12,000 comes from?
Yes, that it comes from
So
our budget. Comes a little bit from Warren Waste who haven't
Budget.
phased in. We just take 12,000.
Okay.
So it's really, it's the 4 towns times 3, but that comes out of your 40,000 that you pay. We put that over to,
So currently, that's really the only thing Moortown's funding. is
correct,
Mad River
right,
Park.
yeah.
3,000.
They have since we
Yeah.
purchased it. They agreed to, 25% of the needed funds for that. So I think we have a good shot at that. So I will just talk a little bit about our 2024 accomplishments, and I hope you've all been to the Rec Hub at the intersection of 117. It was very exciting today when I drove by. I was on my way to the stadium. They're doing great work there. But there were a bunch of surveyors out, which,
They've been out for a
Yeah.
couple of weeks. Is that
Yeah.
all to do with the?
was the V-Trans study of that
Intersection?
intersection.
Yeah, that's what I
So
figured.
hopefully, they're coming up with a plan, and we'll,
We'll see it in
hear something.
2030.
Yeah, right, something like that, but,
Very
hope we'll be
optimistic.
alive to see it, yeah. So-
Ads.
It's pretty optimistic.
But we had,
That's true.
after getting this, applying and getting the grant in 2022, everything happened this fall, and the bridge is in. We had
Yeah.
a great celebration, or ribbon cutting, and little kids crossing the bridge on October 20th. We have gotten 80% of our funds back from the state, and it is a reimbursement program. So our partners pay, the rec district pays them, and then we get reimbursed by the state. So it's just a pacing thing. We've been able to not borrow any money. We've just borrowed some from the rec district to pay VORAC bills, and then we pay rec district back. So that's been good. But I'll get those reimbursements in, most of them this month, and then there'll be one last reimbursement in March. We've had 5 well-attended community sessions, 2 these forums that are interactive, and we present the documents we've been working on and our progress, and then 2 learning sessions where we had speakers last winter. So we also did a survey. We had 214 responses. That was last summer, and really people believe that figuring out the balance between great recreation infrastructure and sustainability and keeping our natural environment healthy, everybody's on board. So it was good to see that confirmed in the survey. As I mentioned, we had cupcakes and great things happening on October 20th to celebrate our 30th anniversary. I had some awards, one that the Volunteer Hero Award that we'll make annual. I update our website, weekly, so, there's anything recreation oriented, or, things
Chairman of
happening.
Madison Valley Recreation District.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, okay. We moved our grant application to a Google form. We had 13 groups last year, getting that 49,000 plus the 5,000 to CRV. This year we've had 18 applicants. Actually, we got one last one in, putting us at like 82,000. That last one was from Blueberry Lake Cross Country, like a community group, since they're not really going to open this year, the hut and the rentals. They are, somebody in the Robinson family is going to groom,
Maintain, yeah.
but they are asking us for some money for a portalet and for some signage. They're going to have a QR code to, honor system to buy a day pass or a season pass. So
Nice.
it's a good interim step until the estate is settled and the Robinson family can figure out what to do longer term. So, we're just excited that we're able to, consider helping in situations
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
that.
that's great.
Another program that I put it out on Front Porch Forum this year, and I think that's why we got so many responses to the grant program. But one is like a middle school ski program that just needs funding for transportation. And, we try and serve all groups, like from, little kids on up to seniors. And so that middle school group of kids is kind of underserved from our standpoint. A lot of kids just drop out of the youth sports that end at 6th grade. So we, in our December meeting, we'll be talking about the amounts to give, because we have, less money to give out than the full request, but we have a lot of important things to fund. Continue to work with Stewart MRV. We decided that we want to make sure the rec district is more public facing, because we did a survey for ourselves about 1.5 years ago, and we realized that some people knew about the rec district because their kids were in youth sports, but they didn't know that we supported trails groups, or if you were a mountain biker, you might have known that we helped build something. So we decided to write a monthly column, and Alice Rogers, our board chair, has been writing a lot of those, but Recreation Life in the Valley, just to really get the word out, and I think it's helping us be better known as our sales for safety this year. In addition to doing helmets, which I've done a lot, we sold 70 rechargeable bike lights, that really nice kind, at about half price, and wanting to keep people safe, because bike riding on 100 I think is very dangerous, and I would like to see many improvements, short-term and long-term, to that. So, and this last paragraph is a write-up of us working with Moortown, which I mentioned before. So we're hopeful about that. And if they do vote to become a half member, we'll come back to the 3 founding towns who have to adjust the MOU. They would get 1 seat on the board instead of, right now there's 2 from each of the founding towns, plus we have a couple of floating seats that don't have to be approved by select boards. So in 2025, we are still, working hard and closing out this big VORAC grant, and then managing our grant program, working with our conservation partners to make CRV ongoing. We were able to raise about $50,000 for that. The grant funded about half of what we needed for CRV. So Wyndham, Lintilac, your ARPA funds, facing Conservation Commission donated $10,000. So we've Rec District has done $5,000 a year for 3 years to launch all this. So we're coming up with CRV 2.0, and we'll be doing presentations to boards March, April timeframe to talk about the transition to that. One thing we'd like to do this year is really investigate youth sports scholarships. They all do it a little differently, and we just want to make sure that no kid is left behind if they want to play a sport and they can't because of either equipment or the fees to play sports. Just seems so.
seems as though that may become more important as the school budgets might not be able to include funding some of that equipment.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a reality. I just feel like, you know, the towns are generous to give us money for recreation, and, you know, that to me just seems like such a priority to make. I mean, the board will decide, but I think that, you know, they share my feeling that, you know, in small towns like this, it's taxpayer money. We want our kids active and nobody's stigmatized by, you know, I can't do something. So I feel certain we'll be able to figure it out. But, you know, to date, the individual youth sports programs have been very flexible and good about giving scholarships or just waiving a fee, things like that. And I think, you know, with a little more involvement from us, there may be some kids that just don't ask because, you know, maybe we can make it smoother and more equitable. We'd like to research some e-bike programs. Local Motion no longer has their lending program, which we did one summer, which was really successful. And, you know, if people get to try e-bikes, then they might consider buying one and, you know, helping keep themselves fit and, you know, lessening carbon in our air. We'll continue to work on the website. I do an annual review because we have links to the sign-ups, and a lot of times the registrar changes with Little League or softball, something like that. And we'll be working on a PR plan to, you know, make sure we leave no stone unturned about getting more town to join us. So, we're thankful to Warren. Any questions or any suggestions?
It's very impressive that it's level funded.
I know.
Yes.
Given
One of the
everything that's
few.
going
Oh
on.
my gosh,
Yeah.
no kidding. I mean, we can't, you know, this is the third meeting I've presented at, and I'm like, my head's spinning when I listen to all the other requests and everything, you know, important stuff, so. But
Laura?
thank you.
The VLCT membership, do you use that much? Do you get a lot out of that?
You have to, that's where we get our insurance.
There you go.
Yeah, right. And the other small membership is the VRPA, but I actually do get a lot out of that. I go to a 2-day conference, and that's how I heard about the e-bike lending program. It's people like, you know, that have been in recreation for forever, and, you know, you can network with them about how do you fund this, or, you know, what provider do you use. Yeah, so we're good. But yeah, VLCT is, they insure, I think, all of us, the town, and because we are a municipal union, so we're actually more like a town than we are a nonprofit, even though it seems like we're like a nonprofit. Yeah,
Right.
so.
Thank you for all the good work you're doing.
Oh yeah, no.
nice
And
work.
thanks again for the dog park. I get stopped in town.
We've been using it regularly now that the weather has turned a bit with our little group of toddlers and dogs. So much fun.
And I mean, I get people stop me and go, "Thank you for the dog park." I'm like, "Well, big group, town of Warren helped. Everybody helped." So
I never saw it coming.
Great. No.
No, me
Busy,
neither.
though.
You were
Me
People
neither.
are always there. We're
Yeah.
never alone.
I know. It just,
Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
well
that's the
used.
beauty of, you know, working with people you know in small towns. We can get things done. Right?
No, it's great.
All right.
Well,
Thanks
thank you
again.
again.
Yeah.
Take care.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Laura.
Rebecca, your budget.
I think this can be pretty quick.
Oh,
Oh, thank God.
speaking our language tonight.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So I tried to keep everything, relatively the same as '24. You know, salaries obviously changed. I think for, just a little bit hard to read line to line. I think the only thing that, I bumped up, like if we start with, select board, I bumped
Legal.
up
Legal.
legal. Just
Public
cause I
notices.
feel like we've been using, the lawyers a little bit more. Public notices,
Town report
the
printing.
dues for VLCT went up, just a little bit.
And the town report printing.
And the town report printing, that stayed the same. as
That's
last year,
3.
and we
Why
budgeted
did-
We budgeted 3 last year.
last
Oh,
year.
but we only
Yeah, why did we
used
spend
15?
1,500?
So I'm not sure. I mean, that's what it was last year, was the 1501. We signed a 2-year contract with them to keep the price. So I can bump it down to, back down to 15.
Can you ask what it will if they have a cost? Can we find out? Cause 2023, it looks like we're way
2022,
underspending or we're over budgeting.
2022, we did the, other-
we went over.
Is that the year that
Other
we changed
format?
the formatting?
yeah, that's what I'm wondering, is that 22 or 23? That was
23 was the small book,
Yeah.
and we went back to the big book.
Funny.
Not a big deal, but
I
yeah, if we
remember
could just
something.
double check.
Rita
Yeah.
did something. She stopped sending them.
She's done that every year.
Yeah,
She's ratcheted
yeah.
it down.
it's not
Yeah,
I don't
let's
think that was it.
yeah.
Yeah, I can change that back down.
Yeah.
Or if it is really 3,000, we just keep it in. It's
No,
just
it's
double
that's
check
the
it.
actual is
Yeah.
the 1501, and I can.
There's no reason to believe it'll
So
go up,
let's
because
go
we
to
have a
16.
contract, right?
Well, yeah, and I just signed it. I signed a 2-year, and so actually, I got a gentleman contacted me the other day about giving Warren a price to do our town reports, and I was honest with him. I said, we've contracted with I forget the company that we use, but for 2 years. But I'd be happy to talk to you in 27. And so he sort of gave me a tentative price, which was about $400 less than what we pay, but who knows what 2 years is going to look like.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I will bring that back down.
Okay.
Sorry, I missed, why did we go up on public notices? Oh, we didn't. Wait, we did.
We did.
We did.
Oh, just 500
We did
bucks.
just 500.
I was just looking at
But we've only
1440 is what we
spent-
spent, so
And I think there's
we keep that at 2 grand.
there's some public notices that got put in the wrong places, so that's actually going to go up.
The actual for
The
24
actual
is
for
going to
Got
go
24,
up?
logged
yeah.
in the wrong place.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Because I met with Ruth this afternoon, and she was thinking that hers was quite high, and so we did a look in
Oh.
Nemrick, and so some of them got coded the wrong place. So
Okay.
Dana was going to change that.
Man, what the heck happened in 2022? Everything is,
What are we asking? What are you asking about?
it's just everything is over, it feels like, on that one versus 2025.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Same with office assistant, where it looks like we're under.
So we're significantly under, and I don't know.
23 also.
I believe that there was a thought that maybe Carol would attend meetings, which would bump her time up. But I think right now she's just watching the recordings and doing the minutes.
I remember that
So
conversation.
So should we
So
cut that to
we could
1,500?
cut it down probably. I'd have to look and see what the 4.5% was, but I think the 29.45 was what Dana had put in there based on.
So we have Carol as an employee?
She does all the minutes.
I know, but she doesn't do them in-house, and she doesn't use any of our equipment, and we don't.
Is she technically an employee, or do we
Supervisor.
subcontract her?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Is that what
She's
you're
an
asking?
employee.
She gets paid through payroll.
Yeah.
So.
And many of our, I see what you're saying, but we pay a lot of our
Well, I mean.
low hour workers that way. They're just on payroll.
Yep. So I will revisit the office assistant line, cause that probably doesn't need to be 29.45.
Looks like it was just 4.3% on top of the 2818.
Yeah. I will look at that. I'll talk to Carol and see what she feels like she'll do for next year. My salary line is based on the 4.5%. I don't know why it says 4.31. I think we talked about this with Dana.
Rounding.
This is is spreadsheet rounds, so that probably is why.
But it does actually represent 4.5%?
It does. It does.
It's
So if
really
you
strange.
if you take a calculator and take my actual budgeted salary for 24 and add 4.5, that's what it comes out to. So, the only thing I bumped up was my meetings and my mileage, just because I haven't submitted mileage yet and I'm going to be over budget.
Okay.
and a lot of, you know, a lot of these trainings and stuff I'm doing are really helpful. So yeah.
Oh, I know why. It's missing 15 cents. So it rounded
Yeah.
down
Yeah,
to, and that's why.
yeah. So, it's just the way the spreadsheet was set up. And so the one that I really wanted to talk to you guys about was the office assistant, which is currently, the the person who's doing accounts payable at this point. We had only budgeted in 24, for 12,000. But based on what she's currently doing, which is 20 hours a week, at the 4.5% increase, it would bump her up to 25.5, which is, you know, pretty significant jump.
This office is not Julie? It is Julie?
This is not Julie.
No.
This is, basically the, treasurer's and my assistant. She hasn't really done a whole lot for me yet.
And who is this?
It's Carrie Newton.
I feel like I haven't met her yet.
Works
remember
next
you-
to Dana a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. She's doing a great job. She's getting us all caught up with accounts payable, keeping us on track, which is great.
So sorry, tell me again what it is you're asking for.
So basically, this 25.5 is based on her working 20 hours a week. And I think her rate right now is like 23.48, and this is the salary increase with the 4.5%.
And
How is
she
that?
just started, right?
How,
She did just start.
Which is why it's not reflected
Exactly.
in the actuals.
Exactly. And so we had originally thought that Rita would be working more closely with Brent, but she hasn't been charging the town, so that's why this number is so low. And we thought we were gonna have some of Julie's hours, and that has not been the case. So we just recently hired on Carrie.
how was that initial rate determined?
I'm not sure. That's what, you know, that's what Carrie or Julie makes working for Ruth, is that 23.48. And that's what Carol makes per hour. So
20 minutes.
to take minutes. Yep. So I don't know, that was the rate that's what I got paid.
No, I'm not,
when I was
I'm not opposed, I'm
Ruth's
just
assistant.
curious.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that was set.
Is that rate planned to go up 4.5% too? Okay.
Yep.
So this is a reflection of a calendar year at her current hour commitment and rate.
Yep. I
Yeah.
think
Plus
the rate
COLA.
goes up like, I think it's like 25.54 or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's increasing the hours too.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
is what
So
this-
so I guess it's a shift. It's a shift in approach.
Correct.
So it's adding more office assistant
Yeah.
hours.
Right, because it was 10 for Ruth and 10 for.
Yeah.
You guys were splitting
Yeah.
your 20 hours before. Now we're saying 10 for Ruth and 20 for.
Yeah.
Okay. How does everyone feel about that?
Again, my only concern is, you know, adding all the areas that we need to add to our budget. We know that our road crew can also use some, I think, additional hours. It feels like we're chipping away at, you know,
Oh,
we're adding piles, different piles,
Everywhere.
and they get a big pile, and I just feel like we have to kind of look at it holistically. I'm concerned about that.
So we're saying that we have 30 hours of assistant, basically, is what we're saying, two different people
In the
Yeah.
office here.
in
Yeah.
the
Well-
building.
More than, more than
No,
that, 'cause
30
if you add Carol.
Okay, if you had Carol, you're
Right.
right, basically it's a full-time position, let's say. Just
Oh.
about.
There's a thought.
I don't think she's quite 10
We don't
hours
wanna do that.
vacation.
Carol?
Carol?
Yeah, I don't think she's 10 hours a week.
But 32.
Yeah.
So let's just say it's whatever it is.
Right,
It's definitely creeping up on us.
right,
But we're also getting things done,
yeah.
basically.
Mm-hmm.
But we're thinking that the jobs they've grown to the extent where we need somebody to do some
Yeah.
of the legwork.
Right. So
I-
you.
Go ahead.
Yeah. You're looking at next year and saying that between you and Dana, you need 10 hours of.
Yeah,
assistance.
not so much for me. but more on the Dana side. 20.
10 additional.
Right now, to fill in Carrie's hours, she's basically starting to scan all the stuff that was in that closet behind my desk.
Wait, fill in?
So if she has only worked, 18 hours for Dana, she fills in that other 2 hours scanning. Because
So
there's not a lot of, so she works 20 hours a week.
So she was hired for 20 hours a week,
Yes.
even though it wasn't in the budget?
It is in the budget.
I thought it was 10 hours.
But we didn't have anyone for so long that
Right.
they gave her 20 hours because
Exactly.
the budget was there.
So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
budgeted 10 hours.
Yes.
But
Correct.
just because we hadn't spent it, we
Right.
hired her for 20. That's not really,
That doesn't mean we
That's-
need to hire her for 20 next year.
that's what it kind of
yes,
is rolling
that's-
into that.
right.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm trying to
Yeah.
get to is, so what do we need? Do we need 8 hours a week additional, 6 hours? Because what you just said, if she's filling time by,
Right.
if we're looking for stuff for her to do, maybe this is not the year
Exactly.
to commit to that.
Right. So I feel this number, this 25.5 is just based on her current work schedule. I feel that we could get away with the 10 hours a week.
Because what we don't have a good comparison to is if we had a full 10 hours a week, right? Because
Exactly.
Julie
Exactly.
wasn't actually
Mhm.
getting to do
Yep.
all of those hours.
Yep.
So we're jumping right from, maybe
Yep.
5 hours to 20 hours. it
So the
seems
hope
like.
the hope is that, the treasurer can go on vacation
Yes.
and there's somebody
Yeah.
that can be
Do
still
payroll.
doing payroll,
Absolutely.
still doing
Yeah, I
accounts
think that's really
payable,
important, yeah.
so that, she can take a full week's vacation, not have to be back every Monday to process payroll. There's a backup.
But the question is, since you hired her for 20 hours, if we suddenly went back to her and said it's only gonna be 12 hours, would she?
We told her that at the
Okay,
beginning,
Okay.
that there was a pretty good chance that her hours may change come January 1.
Mhm.
And she was on board with that.
So what's the right size?
Yeah, and does that right size include some little bit of time to continue to put those files into electronic form? Because I do think that's important.
Totally agree. I'm not saying we shouldn't do it.
Yeah, but
I-
is it worth 10 hours a week?
I think the shift, I think we should work backwards from what we need and want, rather than say, we have 20 hours, how are we gonna use them?
Mm-hmm.
So it's really up to you and Dana. I don't speak for everyone. I would look at it, I would want you to tell us what you need.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like there's, I think if we kept her at 12, that would be sufficient. Because I think she is caught on quicker than I think we thought she was going to. Because Nemrick's a pretty complex
Yeah.
system, and we have a lot of account lines. And so she's actually caught on quicker than we thought. So I think if we kept her at 12, we would be fine.
I'd certainly be more comfortable there. And again, I'm kind of working backwards from here's the pot. In my mind, here's the pot of money. How do we try to accomplish across the entire town as much as we can, knowing we can't give everybody everything they need?
Right.
Because
agree.
we can't.
Right.
And I do want to be really conscious that I feel like the road crew has, we know they're not able to take vacation that they have earned. And if, just because they're not asking for another person, doesn't mean they don't need another person. So I just want to be careful that we keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So,
And there's
That
already
we
been
need
a
to
large
discuss it.
financial ask there anyway,
yeah,
not including
not
another.
including another person.
So are we comfortable with 12 hours?
I am.
Okay.
If that's what Rebecca thinks will work well, and is, conservative of our public funds, I'm in support of that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
She's great, and I definitely want us to be able to keep her,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
But
Okay. Yeah,
So
I
that
will,
will-
I'll
Feeding all
make
the
that
kids.
change. Yeah, exactly. Then the human resources line, that's just the
Increase.
increase.
Software support.
Now we're getting to the exciting stuff.
So, postage, the meter lease, is going up, so that's why that increased. But overall, the
But it's the
budget,
same as the budget from last year? Where are we, sorry?
on the
Top
postage,
meter.
the bottom of the meter
Oh,
lease.
meter lease,
Third,
sorry,
yep.
sorry.
So everything stayed the same, except for the meter lease, that's going up.
What is a meter lease?
So we have a postage meter, and we have,
The
we
physical
rent
machine.
it, basically, we rent the machine.
Uh-huh.
It pays, you know when you get like this, the
Oh,
print
so we
across the
can
top,
do all
it's
of our own
Yes,
postage.
Yeah, like
exactly,
put it
exactly.
Okay.
The postage is gonna go up for next year, but I think if we stay at 5,000, I think we're good. Cause right now we're at 46.16, so I think we're fine with that.
So the maintenance contract thing on the computer, I remember we talked about this, the 21.5, or the amount of the contract, and then
increase?
there would be additions onto that, but I didn't think they were necessarily
So,
going to be
But there was a
repeated.
one-time-
Yeah,
There was a bunch of one-time stuff at the beginning when the
Right.
new group came in.
so last year, the reason why we're over budget
Mhm.
is we forgot Nemrick.
Oh.
Nemrick was not put, and that's about 5,500. And they did tell Dana that there's gonna be an increase for 2025. So that's why it's now at 31,000.
Okay.
so that's maintenance contracts.
Yep.
Okay, that's not strictly,
Right, so basically with our maintenance contract, we now don't get nickel and dimed for,
right.
like if we have a
Call
network
up for-
problem,
yeah.
we can just call them and
Fixed
they
cost,
troubleshoot
yeah.
it. That's all built
This
into
is-
the maintenance contract.
Okay, but
Support,
it's still $14,000 higher. more
Because
than that.
their price went up, I think he said it's $25 more a month. And the Nemrick
Nemrick.
is going up, so it may not be 31,000, cause they haven't given Dana the dollar amount yet. So that's 31 with some wiggle room, assuming that it'll pretty much be around 31.
So, back to, I'm missing something.
Yeah, I think I'm missing something too.
Maintenance contracts, NEMRIC is part of that.
Mm-hmm.
Software support is what?
Software support is,
We budgeted 25 and we spent 95?
No, we spent
89.
No,
89.
sorry. Okay,
And now
so,
we're budgeting
But-
95.
25, we
Yeah.
spent
Th-
89.
that was
Yeah.
gonna be my next question, is why were we so low on budget for 24?
I'm not sure why that was,
Well, we dropped it for some reason, because we were
'Cause
at
we-
7,000 every year.
exactly.
And we dropped it because we thought
Maybe.
there was
I
that
don't know.
included
was
in
gonna
the
be,
contract,
that was gonna be
right?
in the
Yep.
contract. So
Uh,
why was it not? Or what did we miss?
When did we start with?
January
North
1,
Korea? Okay.
yep.
I
We should
think
probably go
something's
back and check
happening
our-
there. Yeah,
our
I
notes
feel
here
like
on
we-
what we
Something's not,
expected.
something's not making
Yeah, I
sense.
think-
It might
I'm wondering
be
if
totally kosher. It's
Stuff
just
didn't
not
get
making
coded
sense.
correctly,
Yeah, can we?
yeah.
Because
will
I
check that
remember
out.
that one of the reasons we chose them was that, like you said, it's sort of all packaged
Yeah.
in that
Right.
one
Yeah,
number,
it
and
wasn't
it isn't
gonna be
delineated out. And
wasn't a la carte.
when we were working with Butternut, it was all
Right.
a la carte, and
Yep.
so we were seeing those in different line items.
Yeah,
So that's curious.
yeah, I'll have to look at that.
And so, from a general perspective, as far as the computer is concerned, okay, so the 5,000 difference is NEMRIC from what was budgeted and what's actual.
Yep.
Okay, that answers my question. It's fine. Sorry.
How does that answer your question? If
Well,
there's-
I was-
There's a $9,000
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah, there we go.
Nemrick isn't
Thank you.
software support.
No, that
No,
is
no,
still my
we're back
question.
in maintenance
Back,
contracts.
yeah.
Why is it so much higher
If
than
it's
it was? what it
$5,000
was
for,
budgeted?
we
For
should still
NEMRIC.
have another $5,000 of expense there.
There was also maintenance stuff was for the website.
Oh, that also.
Mm-hmm. So the website's
see,
also
we
in
should-
there.
Be so good to split
And
that out.
they surprised us with,
Right.
I think we had this conversation.
Oh yeah, they were billing us for
Few
things
mo-
that
yeah.
we didn't.
Yeah.
approve.
And we've straightened that out?
So we're still
This last
$8,000 over budget.
Yeah.
Software support.
Yeah.
We're software support over budget.
Exactly.
So I'll look at this. So the other thing too, that was, software support, I think is, some of it is Google. The Gmail suite. But I'll have to look into
Is
it.
any of your onboarding equipment in this, or was that last year's budget?
That was last year's.
Yeah.
Can we get a breakdown of both of those,
Yeah,
please?
I will.
I'm sure the numbers are accurate, but it seems like the way they're
Yeah, I'll look at that.
misleading.
And then, so let's skip over the computer stuff, cause I think that there's some significant stuff that needs to be looked at in there. The maintenance and lease contracts for the photocopiers, that's pretty straightforward. We are actually, talking to them about getting an upgraded machine for upstairs, because it's getting more usage. But she doesn't envision our lease changing.
They just take it out and swap it with a newer one? That's cool.
It's kind of funny, we were over budget every year, but we keep budgeting the same amount. Now, I guess we went up last year. And we were,
I mean, 2023
Less.
actual
So-
was only,
Rebecca, sorry, what was
$130
NIMRIC
over.
again that we forgot, 9,000?
It's around
5,500.
5,500. And
Oh,
it's gonna go up
actual
this year, but we don't
was
know the
3,800.
exact amount.
budget was 3,600. Last year budget was 4,000, we went down.
Yeah.
Pretty low.
Okay.
And then the income for photocopying, is 2578, but that was as of Monday. So it could go up before the end of the year. It's
Cool.
not a huge amount.
Not important.
When do we look at that, at the rate we charge for photocopying? What is that tied to?
I think Brent sets that rate.
Based on the cost of paper and ink?
I'm assuming so. I'm not.
I know
like-
Rita used to.
Yeah, I was
so
just gonna
I'm
say.
guessing that-
Rita, he's gonna do his budget on the 17th.
Okay,
And
so we'll ask him.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I would ask him about that. Cause, everything has gone up, so,
Yeah.
why wouldn't that?
The phone went down because we moved it, we divided it out, right?
Phone?
Phone?
ET
Oh,
phone
sorry.
home?
There's
Never mind.
probably be another
look at the bottom line.
600 added to that for December. I don't think we've paid December yet.
Telephone, fax, wait. Oh,
73.35.
office
So office supplies,
That's total, I see. I gotcha, sorry.
and then the phone, we are going to revisit, with Chris when we get back to try and consolidate all of the lines. And hopefully the bill will not be 8,000 for the year. But,
Wait a minute, sorry. Office supplies is its own line,
yes,
and then telephone and fax is its own line.
Is its own line.
But then the bottom, telephone and fax and office
you can just, I basically was hiding,
is not totaled.
no, it's not. So, don't
It
look
is
at,
in
don't look
some,
at that
but not
bottom,
in the budget, okay.
the bottom line. I
Okay.
basically piecemealed this together from the big spreadsheet, so that you guys could see it a little clearer. So,
Nemrick should really figure out their interfaces.
so the only other thing that, I wanted to talk to you guys about in terms of maintenance contract, is zoning uses this MGMS software for their database. I think it's roughly $1,800 for the year. We pay, I think, $900 and something at the beginning of the year, and then another $900 at the end. We are having big time issues with addresses, updating.
What kind of database?
That's what she does all of her land records and stuff in.
Permitting and.
It's permitting and things like that.
Specific to zoning?
Yes.
Okay.
Nemrick also has a piece of their software that you can do zoning in. What happens is if someone comes in here that's bought a home, gets a zoning permit, an address changes, but the listers and the treasurer don't get that address
They
change.
don't, yeah.
And so the two systems unfortunately don't talk to each other. And I know it sounds as simple as somebody sending somebody else an email saying, hey, so, but it's not happening. So we didn't know if, and I think this is a bigger conversation to include with Ruth, but would we be better off having everybody use the same software so that everything talks to each other?
Probably.
Yeah,
But
it's the best.
How complex is that?
I would say maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. And so the listers, I thought their address data, their cards are in CAMA. That's tied to NIMRIC.
It's tied to NEMRIC, yep.
Okay.
So, 2 questions off the top of my head. One, is NEMRIC reliable enough to warrant switching, given
Yes.
how much it's going down?
Well,
It's been switched to a new cloud, and we haven't had any issues since.
And is the onboarding process worth it?
I don't know what that looks
That's
like,
hard to, yeah.
but
I think it's worth researching.
okay.
And that's a Ruth question. I mean, if Ruth says no, NIMRIC, their product.
There are your extra
Stinks.
10 hours of office
Right.
assistant.
Right.
But yeah, sure.
So-
I think.
It just, there's
As
been
we
Well,
might.
it does sound like an office assistant process, though, to.
yes,
If we didn't switch software.
right.
It's when an address change comes
Or a
in.
process. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because there's been a lot of recent issues with tax bills and lots of intense conversations.
Yeah, it just makes it
it's not
uncomfortable for
yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah.
Sandra's had to field a lot of really intense conversations. Dana's had to field lots of intense conversations. So it's just and it's lack of communication between the departments. It's no one person's fault. It's just the two
Sure.
softwares don't talk to each other, and that's what happens at the end of the day. So just something to think about, because that NEMRIC does have that component.
Well, no, it's great that you're looking for a
Yeah.
solution. So yeah, let's look into the software, and if not, we'll
Okay.
institute a process.
Okay, perfect. Right, then I will look at the computer section, but you guys are good with, besides the office assistant, with everything else?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, and just we're good with that change.
okay, all right, great.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
And then, just real quick, just wanted to give you guys an ARPA update. All of the checks went out last week to, Warren PTO, Neck of the Woods, Meadow River Rec District, Meadow River Senior, Spring Hill School, and the Valley Players. The lingering 2 checks that